As a curious developer, I'm constantly looking on the GitHub trending page to see what type of projects are getting attention from open source community and hyping up based on the weekly basis, or you can of course filter based on month if you are into longer basis. But this is very cool way to understand what type of projects are dominating the open source, and this can catch a lot of new technologies that's going to replace the existing ones. So this is very good place to see. And one of the things that I noticed is a new JavaScript runtime called Bun. I heard about this from a couple of Reddit posts, but never actually tried. And seeing this as a trending seems to be very interesting, because having a new kind of JavaScript runtime, especially that now we have Deno and Node.js as a primary JavaScript execution runtimes. We now have another one which has quite a good amount of GitHub stars. Seems developers are really liking this concept, and in a nutshell their description says that it's incredibly fast JavaScript runtime, bundler, test runner, and package manager. So they seems to be combined everything in one place. Not sure if that's a good idea. Usually the developer tools that try to do everything tends to do not everything great. So there's many examples around that, but this seems to be trending right now, and I'm wanting to take a look on what type of specifics they have that makes them very interesting for the open source community right now. So from their initial README, I can see that it is able to run an actual JS6 without having anything. This is very cool. So imagine that Node.js could run JS6 without touching the runtime of JS6 and adding polyfills. That was like really nightmare when I was first time configuring all of that for server-side rendering, first time in React. Another cool thing is that because Bun tries to replace npm as well, they also added these commands which essentially replaces the npm run script things. So for example, npm run start now replaced by Bun run start and Bun install. So seems to be it's the way of having everything in one place. Imagine having Node command interface and npm combined together. This seems very interesting, because usually that annoys me if I upgrade Node and have to upgrade the npm as well with all of the packages that I have globally. Having one command might be a very good idea for this type of projects. I'm going to take a look on their website to see what type of explanation they have, what means fast in their terminology, because nowadays like pretty much everyone says that their framework is fast, is the most performant one. But here they actually showcase the server-side rendering for React, and seems Bun performs quite good compared to Node and Deno. And of course Node.js is worst in this type of stuff, because Node.js built the way that it sucks on synchronous operations, and most of the server-side rendering is synchronous operation. That's why it has very low numbers. But Bun might have found a way of re-implementing all of these internal loop stuff. That's why they got pretty good numbers there. And of course WebSocket messaging. I had quite rough times with Node when I was building the WebSocket-based application, and when the message count was growing, Node.js always being stuck on making JSON parse and JSON stringify, which again comes from the same point of having synchronous operations, because JSON stringify and JSON parse are synchronous operations. But here seems to be Bun. Again, they found something and they fixed probably that synchronous operation problems from JavaScript runtimes. Not sure how that works internally. I have to dig deeper more, but that seems very interesting. And the same things from database side. So they tested this with SQLite, but the concept is the same. Usually the operations of SQLite are synchronous when you have a data and you have to parse that data. That's where these runtimes take a lot of time. Usually it's just the synchronous operations that suck a lot of juice from the single-threaded loop-based runtimes like Node.js or Deno or even Bun. I'm not sure how they built it, but probably they found a way of making somehow the synchronous operations a bit more parallel all across the CPU operations, but I have to dig more to understand. The cool thing is that installation process is very simple. Oh boy, if you remember how at the beginning Node.js installation process was like, that was terrible. But now like we have this nice one command that you essentially can just copy paste and see what's going on there. So we're going to do that in a moment, but right now I wanted to highlight the specific parts that they showcase it in their website front page, meaning that they say that it's a drop-in replacement for Node.js, which is very cool if it's the case. So if that replaces everything that Node.js could do, but with the faster way, then of course most of the production products that run in Node.js suffer with scalability issues, and if Bun can provide that scalability, then of course that's a drop-in replacement is the way to go. And the good thing is that like the most important thing for me was that it works with Node modules. So they are completely trying to replace npm, or they already done it. But the idea of having only one executable command line interface, Bun, instead of having Node and npm sounds way more good idea actually to have, because rest of the programming languages like Go, they have package manager and an actual runtime and builder inside the same runtime, which calls of course Go, and the rest is kind of extra features to me, because they say like, yeah, it's fast running, it performant, but like again, performance is something that you have to ask compared to what, because otherwise running this kind of tests on subjective topic and saying that our runtime or framework is performant is kind of a bit useless, because it's not showcasing the real world examples. So what I'm going to do is just copy paste this one line command and see how we can install Bun directly. It should be easy as typing just this one command, and they seems to be just downloading the binary packages and adding the binary paths. See, they are adding the binary path to a bin which already exists in my paths. So I can go ahead and hit the Bun, and as you can see, nice the helper text to see what kind of commands we can do. And the good thing is that having the Next.js UI project makes it possible actually to test it directly to see if it actually drop-in replacement or not. So I'm gonna go ahead and move to one of my projects, which is a landing page written in Next.js for one of my products. And instead of running the npm run dev, so I'm gonna try this first. So let's remove the next folder because I'm gonna play fair and to see whether Node.js running on my Mac will perform better directly as a drop-in replacement for the Bun. So I'm gonna run my Next.js application and see how it performs. So it compiles, and yeah, you can see the landing page, and the compilation was successful and compiled client server successfully in 2.7 seconds. This indicates actually the final compilation time, because you can see the most modules are located here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove again the next to play fair. Based on the Bun's documentation, I'm just gonna type bun run dev, and we started again dev server and see when the compilation completed. So yeah, we got a bit better results, like I don't know, maybe 100 milliseconds, but that's not fair actually, because it's not showcasing how well performs Bun itself. But it's very cool that I can just make drop-in replacement. It's kind of sick to think that they have built the entire Node.js replacement runtime and npm inside the same binary CLI package. That's very cool, and it actually functions a bit faster, which is very cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to build this, because building takes more time and optimization in the production mode, and I'm gonna see how this actually behaves in production mode. So yeah, as you can see, this production build was successful with Bun, and I actually can make Bun run start to start already pre-compiled version of the app and for the production, and that works very well. So this is very cool. I'm curious to see how this product will develop further, but the idea behind it seems very cool, especially that they have their own serve function similar to Deno, that you can just have a server itself without needing any extra functionality from HTTP as a raw HTTP server does in Node.js itself. But this seems to be way more thought through process for writing and performing an actual JavaScript projects. So let me know in the down comments if you want to dive deep into this. I'm gonna make another tutorial to explain how Bun works. I'm also very curious to see how they built such a tool and how they scaled across the CPUs and implemented the multi-threading for this Bun framework. And actually very funny thing is that I never heard of this programming language called Zig, but seems most of the code base is written in Zig. So that's pretty cool. I never heard that. And if you look at the syntax, how they write it, like this is like sick. I haven't seen this kind of syntax of writing code in my career. So let me know in the comments if you have ever worked with this programming language.